Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Pendragon preseason interview. And today we are with the new analyst, Xica. Thank you for joining me. I'll open by saying how glad I am to see you back after your previous announcement that you might be taking a break for spring 2022. So tell me why the early return?
Initially, things hadn't really improved much since the end of UKAL summer. I didn't make it a secret that I was definitely struggling
Mm-hmm.
towards the end. I think I'd taken on a little bit more than necessary for the team to do well and pushed myself to my limits. And it backfired big time. So I wanted to give myself a little bit more time after already taking winter off to try and come back into sorts.
Sure.
Um, but it would have been a couple of weeks into January. I Things had gotten better, a
Yeah.
lot better. Um, I have been feeling significantly better more recently. And when I was told the Pendragon were looking to branch into league, I was more than happy to offer my help where I
Mm-hmm.
could. It was at that point that they turned around to me and offered me the spot of being assistant coach slash analyst or whatever you want to call it. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready to come back. I've missed doing this. I just need to believe in myself.
Sure. Well, I mean, burnout has been a big topic, especially over the last year, and the pandemic, of course, exacerbated that for so many people. So it's good to hear that you were, prioritizing your own health, but even better to hear that you've recovered so quickly. So with that, we'll get into the weeds a little bit more. In the past, you have described your coaching style as player focused. So could you elaborate to me what that means in practice?
So what that means overall is when in a position where I have to essentially make a decision between, okay, how do I go about this?
Mm,
I don't force anything.
yeah,
I've come to learn that if you try and force anything on a team, whether they've experienced it or not, it's going to end in disaster somewhere along. So in my coaching style, I take into account player mentality and always try to have at least one, if not two players who are going to keep the mental high even in difficult situations.
yeah,
Because without at least one, ideally two, once one person goes, the whole team's going to go in a game, and that's not what you want if you want the chance of coming back. Um, and not only that, but on a review based outlook,
hmm,
would prefer to focus on how the players individually could help the team in a broader sense
yeah,
than nitpick micromanagement. Because
sure,
micromanagement isn't going to get us anywhere in a team game, in a team environment where communication and um, the micro of macro, as it were,
hmm,
are possibly the two most important aspects.
sure. Fair enough. And I mean, in my recent interview with Psyduck, one of the ways that he described his own coaching style was athlete focused. So it's great to see that you both are aligned already, so much in that way. And you mentioned a couple of ways that you think that this how you would use this player focused style as an analyst, I guess, as opposed to a head coach. Do you see any particular differences between how these roles function, I guess, from your perspective, being, as you say, like an analyst or an assistant coach as opposed to a head coach?
There is a distinct difference in that as a head coach, I would take a lot of the responsibility of I should probably be doing micro, macro, mental,
Mm-hmm.
health, everything all at once. And
Sure.
that isn't realistic for anybody. It's going to crash down on you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Whereas from the position I am in now, where a lot of analysts are very statistic, number focused from my experience anyway, I can take a more game focused approach. So rather than tracking kills and deaths at 15 or CS difference or whatever, I can go in and say, right, in the overarching scheme of things, this game was not a train wreck. Or this game was absolutely terrible, we have a lot to improve on. I can go in and just pick out and analyze the gameplay with relative ease without having to worry about doing everything else as well.
Yeah, sure. Very much. Yeah, having that two-person team is always going to be better than the one, I guess, at that stage, just for as there's so much ground to cover, as you say. So looking back, and I guess we've already alluded to some of this maybe already, but what is one specific lesson or hurdle that you've encountered in your past during your coaching experiences that you're either looking to improve on or looking to avoid at Pendragon? Or before you mentioned the, I guess, doing it all yourself can lead to these situations?
Yeah, I think a big mistake I made with Lucendi specifically is 2 main shot calling roles were both rookies.
Yeah.
That is, don't get me wrong, Reese and Noided were amazing. They did their best, and that's all I could have ever asked. But not having someone who has experienced being in these high pressure situations, making the big calls and saying, we just go here. There's hesitation, there's doubt, and it does become an issue. And I think it started to fizzle out when you look at the first win that the roster had against London U. It started to fizzle out where they would just be going and they wouldn't really think about it. They were on the same page. They'd be like, I'm looking, bang, engage, done. And then it regressed again.
Sure.
So in having the roster we do, which if the announcement's out, the announcement's out. If not, you've got a lot to see. We've got at least one of those roles having experience. But I think personally, a big thing for me to overcome from both when I was with New Dawn in spring of last year, as well as Lucendi for summer, is when it came to VOD reviews, I was very hesitant. I know how I like to do VOD reviews, but at the same time, I was trying to fulfill players' expectations as well, and they just clashed big time.
Sure.
So I think for the personal thing to improve on is focus on the style that I know works for VOD reviews, and don't get inside my own head and say you need to be doing more.
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely. Got to believe in your gut, I guess, in that way. So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's think about the NLC as a whole. So given your experience in the UK League of Legends system and in other parts of Europe as well, what are your thoughts on the new NLC structure and how that meshes with UK League of Legends in particular?
It heavily depends on how Div's in under a handle, honestly.
I agree with that. Yeah.
With Div 1 and 2 being a mesh of the Nordics and the UK, it's not looking terrible. I mean, there's a few UK/British, Irish, whatever orgs in Div 1 and Div 2. Not entirely sure how many players are British or UK based. I haven't gone through and done the checks, but Div 3 being and below being set into groups, because they're expecting such a big turnover of teams. I've heard a lot of different things about how these groups are going to go. I don't know if I can disclose any of them.
It's fair enough. Yeah.
But what I will say is there's only really one way that I can see it being beneficial for the UK ecosystem, in that less recognized younger talent can shine.
Yeah.
At the same time, that's going to then stomp out the competition overall. It's going to make things a lot harder.
Yeah, I think that it really has the potential to uplift so many people, as you say, and like we already see now that Div 1 and 2, they're aesthetically, they're looking great, the talent, the production are very high quality, so you know, if the top side looks amazing, sure, but as you say, you do have to make sure that the kind of the bedrock of that system is just as strong, or it's not going to be long-term successful. So we can hope and pray as to how well that will go, of course. And there's a lot of other strong parts of the UK as well, with the the university scenes being so good and how that can mesh together. So yeah, looking forward to it. Hopefully it will come out good for everyone. But as a last question here today, this being the more of an official debut for Pendragon League of Legends division going forward into this regular season play, what are your hopes for this fresh roster that you can't announce yet, potentially? But what are your hopes for them? Maybe, who knows?
I don't know if this is coming out before or after the roster announcement.
I don't either. So we're rolling with it, but yeah.
For spring, because we've got one of those rosters where it is going to surprise people. Both just with the names we've got and how they play. I am going to be happy if, as a very core baseline, all 5 of these players get to show what they're capable of.
Yeah.
Of course, standings would be nice. Potential promotion to Div 2 would be amazing.
Yeah.
But expectation-wise, I will be perfectly happy if the players just do their best and show their best. Show that even if they aren't Div 2, Div 3 level yet, or Div 2, Div 1 level yet, they're still good. They're still going strong, and with a full UK team, could be good for the UK ecosystem.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, player focused to the very end. How could we expect anything less? Thank you so much, Xica, for joining me. For everyone else, I believe we will have another interview coming out before the season starts, so you have to wait and see who that is going to be with, though. And for now, I have been Trajan. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching, and we will see you very soon.